Have you ever felt like something was off not because of what someone did, but because of how they made you feel afterward? You walked away from a conversation smiling on the outside, yet silently questioning everything about yourself. It wasn't rage. No shouting. No slammed doors. Just quiet comments wrapped in kindness. Subtle gestures that seemed caring but somehow chipped away at your confidence, your joy, your sense of clarity. What if the real danger isn't obvious at all? What if it comes disguised, dressed in calm voices and soft eyes, yet holding a hidden agenda to twist your truth and quietly dismantle who you are? One of the most dangerous weapons used by someone who seeks to destroy you is manipulation. It doesn't arrive with fury or loud confrontations. No, it slips in silently, cloaked in smiles, warm tones, and words that sound supportive. But beneath that soothing exterior lies a hidden blade, slowly slicing through your identity, draining your joy, blurring your vision. This isn't a case of simple misunderstanding. It's something far more deliberate. These people aren't confused about who you are, they're committed to confusing you. They distort the truth, not because they're unsure, but because your uncertainty keeps them in control. That's not love. That's not loyalty. That's a tactic. They don't care about your growth. They feed off your confusion. They want you to constantly question yourself. Am I too much or not enough? You begin doubting your instincts, silencing your emotions, defending your right to feel. They even start to rewrite your memories, and soon you're carrying guilt for simply standing up for yourself. And here's the thing, it's all calculated. The more you shrink to meet their approval, the easier it becomes for them to hold on to power. Their goal isn't to build you, it's to bind you. These aren't nurturing voices. These are forces that neutralize your spirit. With every "I'm just being honest" or "I only want the best for you," they poison your soul a little more. They paint themselves as your hero, the only one who truly understands you, while secretly scripting the part where you lose everything. And they know exactly how to keep you hooked. Just enough affection to keep you craving more. Just enough praise to make you stay. One day warm, the next cold, until their approval becomes your addiction. Eventually, you find yourself dancing to their tune, rewarded when you comply, punished when you resist. That's not love. That's not partnership. That's a trap. And God, He never called you to live in confusion. He is not the author of chaos, but the Prince of Peace. So when someone enters your life bringing mental fog instead of clarity, anxiety instead of calm, you need to stop and ask, who really sent them? Because not every person who walks into your life was sent to support your purpose. Some came to sabotage it. Some came to drain you, distract you, disconnect you from your calling. And for those of you who've been entangled in manipulation for so long, you've begun apologizing for having boundaries, for desiring respect. You've been gaslighted into silence, convinced your intuition is paranoia. But let me tell you, the Spirit of God doesn't sit quietly in the shadows of manipulation. He stirs your soul. He shakes your awareness. He pushes you to wake up, to speak up, and when needed, to walk away. Because protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's spiritual warfare. You don't owe anyone access to your heart just because of shared history. Time doesn't equal trust. And history doesn't justify toxicity. You have the right to walk away from anything or anyone that's destroying you while pretending to love you. You might think manipulation always arrives with shouting or slammed doors, but the cruelest kind often slips in on velvet slippers. It comes cloaked in reassurance, wrapped in whispered compliments, and delivered with a tone so soothing you barely notice the dagger beneath the surface. Yet every soft syllable chips away at your sense of self, your joy, your confidence, until you barely recognize who you once were. This is more than a misunderstanding or a clash of personalities. This is deliberate distortion, a calculated effort to keep you off balance, True love and loyalty don't leave you doubting your every choice. Manipulators thrive on confusion. They feed on your uncertainty, fueling it until you question your own thoughts and feelings. Am I too sensitive? Too demanding? They'll have you wonder. Until you surrender your inner compass in search of their approval. They'll rewrite your past, twisting memories until you become convinced you're always at fault. You know, I'm just being honest, they'll say, their words laced with honey, yet dripping with poison. I only want what's best for you, and yet what's best always ends with you giving more and them taking more. Every offhand remark, every half-hearted apology, is a trap to keep you shrinking into yourself. These people don't arrive as friends or allies, they come as neutralizers of your spirit. They'll sprinkle little comments into your day. You're so emotional. Does that really make sense? All under the guise of concern. And if you push back, they'll punish you with silence and withdrawal, then offer just enough attention to leave you craving their warmth like a lifeline. It's a cycle of breadcrumbs and cold shoulders designed to make you dependent on their sporadic kindness. But here's the truth. Your peace matters. You're not selfish for protecting your heart. You were never created to wander in mental fog or emotional turbulence. God is the author of clarity and calm, not chaos. So when someone's presence brings anxiety instead of assurance, you need to pause and ask, who sent this person into my life? Not everyone who smiles at you comes bearing good intentions. Some arrive with a hidden agenda to derail your purpose, distract your focus, and pull you away from your calling. Perhaps you've been gaslighted so long that you apologize for setting boundaries or defending your worth. You start to believe your discernment is paranoia. But remember, the Spirit of God never shrinks in the face of manipulation. He stirs you, convicts you, and urges you to stand tall even if it means walking away. Because true love doesn't control, it frees, it nurtures, it celebrates. And when you guard your peace, you're not waging war on someone else, you're engaging in spiritual warfare for your own soul. And as we turn the page, we'll dive deeper into how to recognize those who only show up for your pain, and how to reclaim the vibrant life you were meant to live. Building on our last insight into hidden threats, let's explore how danger can wear a friend's mask. True encouragement uplifts, but manipulation only pretends to motivate. Real supporters fan your flame. Hidden foes whisper doubts in the same breath they applaud you. Those who pose as allies yet sow seeds of fear behind your back are the enemy at work disguised in harmless warmth, never sending an obvious storm warning. Instead, they drift in like a gentle breeze, imperceptibly nudging you off your course until you scarcely recognize the person staring back in the mirror. When that uneasy whisper inside your mind warns you, something isn't right, listen. That's not paranoia, it's discernment. Your spirit's alert to guard your heart. And if you've already ceded ground to someone who thrives on your confusion, remember it's never too late to reclaim your territory. You have the power to take back your voice, your clarity, your identity. This path won't be effortless. The moment you refuse to play by their rules, they'll brand you selfish. When you draw boundaries, they'll accuse you of being cold. The instant you stand tall, they'll murmur, "You've changed." Yes, you have changed. You're awakening, remembering who you are, stepping into the light. And that very shift cracks their hold on you, because manipulators can only govern what you allow them to touch. Don't mistake peacekeeping for true peace. Politeness should never become your prison. If someone's tactics feel like a chain around your spirit, you owe it to yourself to stand even if you stand alone. Let unvarnished truth be your guide to freedom. There's a kind of darkness that doesn't thunder in the night. It lurks in plain sight, lodged in the hearts of those who profess love while secretly hoping you'll never rise above them. How do you spot these hidden saboteurs? Watch where they find joy. If they celebrate your setbacks more than your breakthroughs, their silence on your victories will speak louder than any applause. Notice who's absent at your moments of triumph. whose voice grows quiet when you glow. Not everyone nearby is on your side. Some linger only to witness your stumble, basking in the comfort of your humility rather than your growth. This isn't mere woundedness, it's envy in stealth mode, poison that, left unchecked, blooms into betrayal. You'll see it most clearly in the shift of their behavior. Texts slowing to a crawl, calls drying up, their tone growing clipped. They'll rebrand your blessings as luck, eager to remind you of your past so you never forget where you came from. But when God begins to push open doors, not everyone can walk through them by your side. Some people belong to your history, not your destiny. And remember, those who truly love you will celebrate every step of your ascent. They don't compete, they contribute. They don't envy, they rejoice. But the ones who wish to destroy you will shrink away as your life warms with new favor. As we move on, we'll uncover the subtle tactics used to isolate you and why maintaining your circle of wisdom is your strongest defense, just as we uncovered hidden saboteurs in your circle. Now let's shine a light on those who feel threatened by your ascent. They don't merely want to outshine you, they want to drag you down. You might hear them caution, "Don't get too excited. Remember where you came from. Be careful, this might not last." At first glance, it sounds like genuine concern, but listen closely. That warning isn't born of caution, it's born of fear. Your progress unsettles their comfort. Every step you take forward exposes the excuses they've hidden behind, instead of inspiration. They choose offense. They'd rather see you dim your light than risk feeling small themselves. You were never meant to shrink yourself for someone else's security blanket. If your blessing stirs bitterness in them, it's not on you to retreat, it's on you to blaze on. Their unease doesn't revoke your right to rise. Remember, your favor isn't up for debate or approval. God didn't ask permission to lift you, and you don't owe apologies for His work in your life. Yes, it stings when those closest to you can't or won't cheer you on. Sometimes the ones you expected to applaud first are the ones secretly hoping you'll stumble. But God allows that discomfort not to harden you, but to hone your discernment, so you can tell true friends from phantoms. True love celebrates every milestone. Real supporters don't compete, they contribute. They don't covet your success, they rejoice in it. With them, your victories share joy. But those who mean to undermine you grow cold as your life warms. Their words dry up as your triumphs multiply. They'll remind you of every misstep to overshadow how far you've come, dragging past mistakes into the present so you won't believe in your future. Don't take it personally, they simply weren't meant to witness this chapter of your journey. So let the silence speak its own truth, and the lack of applause confirm what you need to know. Some people belong to your history, not your destiny. Keep moving. Keep growing. Keep walking into the unique blessing God has designed for you. No matter how quiet the crowd, there's a higher audience cheering you on, an audience whose roar drowns out every doubt. As voices around you whisper that your friends don't understand or your family is holding you back, masquerading as protection with a hidden sting, recognize the tactic for what it is: an attempt to isolate you, cut you off from wisdom, and make you dependent on their approval. Next, we'll delve into the subtle art of isolation and reveal why staying connected to your true community is your greatest safeguard. When someone can't control you, their next move is often to isolate you. It doesn't happen all at once, it's subtle. It starts with a casual, "I don't think they really get you," or "Why do you always listen to them?" Maybe even, "You're better off without people who hold you back." At first, it sounds protective, even empowering, but listen carefully. Those words are not meant to set you free. They're meant to separate you from your support, your counsel, your clarity. Manipulators thrive in silence and secrecy. They know that as long as you're surrounded by voices of reason, their lies won't stick. So they chip away at your circle, slowly, strategically. They'll plant seeds of doubt until you begin to mistrust the people who once gave you life-giving truth. You may even start pulling back on your own, thinking it's your decision, when in reality, you've been steered. And once you're alone emotionally, spiritually, relationally, they tighten their grip. You'll start feeling like they're the only one who really sees you, the only one who understands. But that understanding comes at a price: your independence, your voice, your strength. You become more and more tethered to their approval, and less able to remember who you were before they arrived. Can you picture it? A vine wrapping itself around a healthy tree, not to support it, but to choke off its sunlight. That's how emotional isolation works. It may look like closeness, but it's actually control dressed up as intimacy. The most dangerous part. It often feels like love. You may even defend it. You'll say, "They're just protective," or "They've been through a lot, I get it." But the truth is, love builds bridges, not walls. It doesn't ask you to choose between connection and commitment. It welcomes both. This is why staying rooted in wise counsel is critical. You need voices that remind you of who you are, especially when someone else is working overtime to make you forget. Whether it's a friend, a mentor, a sibling, or even your own past journal entries, keep those lifelines close. They'll anchor you when someone else is trying to drift you away from shore. Because real relationships don't isolate, they integrate. They don't divide your world, they expand it. So if you've been feeling smaller, more confused, more disconnected since letting someone in, that's not your intuition failing. That's your spirit sounding the alarm. And now, as we turn the page, we'll unpack the subtle signs of control disguised as care and what to do when someone's help begins to feel like a trap, as we discussed earlier. One of the first warning signs is when someone starts to pull you away from the very people and places that bring you strength. It's rarely loud or obvious, it's subtle. And that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. You have to recognize this tactic, because it's one of the oldest tricks in the book. Since the very beginning, yes, even in the garden, deception has always thrived in isolation. Remember, the serpent didn't approach Eve when she was surrounded. He waited until she was alone. That moment of separation created the perfect environment for a lie to take root. When you're cut off from truth, lies don't have to shout, they only have to whisper. When you're separated from genuine love, it's easier to confuse manipulation for affection. That's how the enemy works: isolate, then influence. That's why staying connected is so vital. Stay anchored to your source, your faith, your people, your safe spaces. Because when someone begins to separate you from those lifelines, they're not supporting you. They're managing you. And control is not love. Some of you know this all too well. You used to laugh freely. You felt grounded, alive. But ever since that person entered your life, something shifted. Now, you're constantly second-guessing yourself, walking on eggshells, distancing yourself from the very ones who always stood by you, and you can't even pinpoint when it started. That's the thing, it never starts with a bang. It's slow, subtle, silent. But if you pause and look back, the signs are there. You used to check in with your family every week, now it's barely once a month. You used to pray with friends, now you feel too emotionally drained to even send a message. You had mentors, spiritual guides, people who poured into your soul, now they've all been labeled toxic by the one person who claims to know you best. Sound familiar? Because real love doesn't isolate. Real love doesn't hide in the shadows. It thrives in the light. Love doesn't silence wise counsel, it encourages it. Love doesn't make you choose between your support system and your relationship, it weaves them together. So if someone only feels secure when you're disconnected, let's call it what it is, that's not love. That's control. The people God places in your life, the real ones, they won't compete with your peace. They'll amplify it. They won't demand you shut people out. They'll help you bring everything into the light. They'll celebrate your desire for wisdom, not fear it. So when someone makes you feel guilty for staying connected to what strengthens you, pause and ask yourself, what are they so afraid of? The answer may reveal everything. They're afraid of you waking up, of seeing clearly. Because once you reconnect to love, to truth, to your God-given identity, their influence begins to crumble. The fog starts to lift. The weight begins to fall off. And finally, you can see, you were never meant to do life alone. The road is too long. The weight, too heavy. Even Jesus himself didn't walk alone. He wept with others, prayed with others, walked with others. If the Son of God didn't isolate, why should you? Isolation isn't strength. It's often the setup for sabotage, but here's the good news: if you've been pulled away from your circle, you can find your way back. If you've been lied to, worn down, and slowly cut off, there's still a voice calling you home. And in the next part, we'll uncover one of the most subtle, painful signs that someone might be working to destroy you, not through distance, but through distortion. In the last section, we uncovered how isolation isn't love. It's often a tactic used by those who want to weaken your spirit and control your path. But sometimes, the attack doesn't come through distance. Sometimes, it comes through distortion. Step out of that isolation. Because what often follows is a more subtle betrayal, one that doesn't come with a loud clash or visible confrontation. It doesn't strike with fists. It strikes with words. Words spoken not in your presence, but behind your back. Whispers in the dark, cloaked as concern, meant to erode your character slowly, strategically. You'll begin to notice it when your story starts to sound different, twisted, misrepresented, passed through too many mouths to still resemble the truth. They won't confront you openly. No, they'll reshape the narrative in rooms you're not invited into, with people you once thought were on your side. This kind of person, they're not just deceptive, they're calculated. Masters of manipulation. They don't come swinging. They come smiling. They cloak their motives behind a veil of care, all while planting quiet doubts in the hearts of others. In public, they nod, they compliment, they laugh. But once you're gone, their words shift, their tone sharpens, their mission becomes clear. It's not your actions they're after, it's your influence. Because when someone feels threatened by your light, they won't just try to dim it. That would be too obvious. Instead, they'll try to dirty it just enough to leave a stain that makes people question who you are. They won't lie outright. That would be too risky. Instead, they mix just enough truth with their deception to make it believable. They take one moment, one weakness you shared in confidence, and they blow it up into your whole identity. Something sacred becomes something shameful. A personal confession becomes public gossip. And let's be clear, that's not a mistake. That's not a misunderstanding. That's an attack. It's spiritual warfare dressed in casual conversation. And when your name starts to suffer while they act innocent, it's more than just betrayal, it's painful on a soul level. But here's the truth that outlasts the lies. No whisper in the shadows can undo what God has spoken over your life in the light. Every distorted word, every twisted motive, He sees it. He hears it. And He is not silent. Yes, your reputation may take a hit. You might feel misunderstood, misrepresented. But the final word on your life doesn't belong to man. It belongs to God. And He is your defender. There's something especially cruel about someone who says they love you, yet finds comfort in quietly tearing you down. That's not love. That's not reconciliation. That's revenge wrapped in a smile. And what makes it even harder? These aren't strangers. No, these are people who know you. Deeply, intimately. The ones you let in. The ones who sat at your table, who heard your heart, Who held your secrets and still chose to weaponize your weakness. It hurts more than any outside attack ever could. Because betrayal always cuts deepest when it comes from someone you trusted. Even Jesus knew that pain. His betrayer wasn't a soldier or a critic. It was a friend. And if it happened to him, it can happen to you. But don't let that make you afraid. Let it make you aware. Stay alert. Guard your spirit. Don't just listen to what people say in front of you. Pay attention to the atmosphere they leave behind. Sometimes, the gossip reaches you long before the words do. It shows up in changed behavior, the subtle shift in how people treat you. The glances. The hesitation. The silence. That's the residue of someone else's narrative staining your name. And your first instinct might be to fight back, to defend yourself, to explain everything, to call everyone. But sometimes, the most powerful response is no response. Let your life speak. Let your fruit tell your story. Because while lies travel fast, truth walks steadily and it never walks backward. In time, every deception will come to light. Every hidden motive will be revealed. And what was buried will rise again. But until that day comes, you must hold your peace. You must stay grounded in what you know is true. Because the most dangerous people aren't always loud. In moments like these, when your name is under attack and your character is being questioned, you have to hold your peace. It may feel like the silence is unfair. It may feel like injustice is winning. But trust this, your reputation is not in your hands, it's in far bigger, far stronger hands than yours. Don't let someone else's twisted version of your story become the truth you live by. Don't let their narrative define you. You know who you are. And more importantly, God knows exactly who you are. No whispered rumor, no backroom slander can erase what God has already spoken over your life. You are not defined by their betrayal. You are defined by His blood. You are not the distorted version of yourself they keep retelling. You are the version He is still redeeming. So protect your heart. Keep it clean. Don't respond to poison with poison. Don't let bitterness become your banner. You don't have to meet gossip with more gossip. You don't have to stoop to their level just to prove you're above it. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is refuse to fire back. Let them talk. Let them twist. Let them scheme. But you stay grounded. Stay rooted in what you know is true. Stay anchored in the God who vindicates. Because the same God who vindicated Joseph when his brothers sold him out. The same God who restored David when his enemies laughed. The same God who raised Jesus after the greatest betrayal of all, He's still the same today. And He hasn't forgotten you. He will guard your name. He will protect your future. He will preserve your purpose. Here's something you need to know about evil. It doesn't always show up with horns and rage. No, most of the time it smiles. It claps. It pretends. The most dangerous people aren't always the ones who oppose you loudly. Sometimes they're the ones who seem to stand beside you while quietly digging a hole behind your back. They know how to cheer for you in public and curse you in private. They pose as allies while secretly crafting your downfall. And the scariest part, they stay close not because they love your soul, but because they love what you give them. They love your platform. They love your influence. They love what they can access through you. But the moment they realize they can't control you, they stop supporting you and start competing with you. What once looked like admiration quickly curdles into quiet resentment. And it's not because you became prideful, it's because you grew. You rose beyond the box they tried to keep you in. And that rise? It exposed them. Some people don't actually want you to grow. They want you small, contained, dependent, because as long as you're beneath them, they feel big. But the moment God begins to elevate you, the truth of their heart gets revealed. Watch their tone. Listen to the silence. Pay attention. When the celebration stops and the compliments dry up, that silence. It speaks louder than any words. And it's not always driven by envy. Sometimes it's fear that you'll leave them behind. Fear that your success will highlight their stagnation. Fear that your purpose will expose their pretense. So instead of letting your growth inspire them, they let it offend them. They begin to resent the very thing they once claimed to admire. And that's when discernment becomes critical. Because some people will sabotage you with a smile. They'll wrap doubt in concern. They'll ask, "Are you sure you're ready for that? Or don't you think you're moving too fast?" And while those words sound like they care, the heart behind them is critical, not compassionate. Their goal isn't to guide you. It's to ground you. They don't want you to move forward because they were never planning to walk beside you once you did. Some people are only loyal to your past. The moment you start stepping into your future, they begin stepping away, or worse, they stick around just to block the way. And that's why discernment is not optional. It's essential. You can't afford to confuse closeness with loyalty. Not everyone walking beside you is walking for you. Not everyone who knows your heart is safe with it. Even Jesus knew this pain. The one who betrayed him wasn't across the room. He was at the table. And in the next part, we'll expose how sometimes the greatest threat to your purpose is sitting closest to your calling. Let's talk about Judas. Earlier, we talked about how the most dangerous attacks often come not from enemies, but from those close enough to know how to want us best. Now, we step into one of the most painful truths of all: the betrayal that comes from someone at the table. Judas wasn't a stranger. He wasn't someone shouting from the sidelines. He was a disciple. He was close. He wasn't across the room, he was seated at the same table. And when someone is trying to destroy you, they won't always stand at a distance. Sometimes, they position themselves just close enough to witness the moment you fall. And if needed, they'll give the push. But hear this clearly: you don't have to live in suspicion. You don't need to walk through life constantly questioning every smile, every conversation. What you need is wisdom. You don't have to harden your heart, but you do need to guard it. You can love deeply without giving access carelessly, because what you're carrying, your calling, your anointing, your future is precious. And anything precious needs protection. Not out of fear, but out of reverence. You wouldn't leave a treasure unguarded on the street. In the same way, don't leave your purpose exposed to people who haven't earned your trust. People who seek to destroy you won't attack your strengths first, they'll go after your trust. They don't come with swords. They come with secrets. They don't destroy you with weapons. They disarm you with intimacy. That's why betrayal cuts so deep. Not because it came from a stranger, but because it came from someone who said they loved you. And even in that pain, you must make a choice. Don't become like them. Don't let deception make you cold. Don't let jealousy steal your softness. You are not here to prove anything. You are here to walk in truth. Let them play their games. Let them whisper behind doors. Let them dress up hatred as help. You stay anchored in the one who sees everything. God will expose what you can't. He will shine light on what's hidden. And when the time is right, He will lift the veil and show you who was for you and who was never meant to walk with you. Your job is not to chase rumors or uncover every lie. Your job is to keep your hands clean and your heart pure. Let your fruit speak. Let your peace speak. Let your faithfulness to God speak louder than their falsehoods. Because if God is for you, who can truly stand against you? Their gossip may move quickly, but it will never outrun His grace. Their plans may seem clever, but they're no match for His protection. And while they may try to stay close just to block your path, God knows how to remove every obstacle, quietly, completely, in perfect timing. So stay focused. Stay faithful. And don't be fooled by flattery. Not everyone who praises you in public has your best interest at heart. Sometimes the deepest wounds don't come from what someone does but from what they refuse to do. The silence. The absence. The indifference. One of the most telling signs you're dealing with someone who wants to see you fall is that they withhold support when you need it most. They see you breaking and turn away. They hear your cry and stay silent. That silence, it speaks volumes. It says, I see your pain and I choose to do nothing. And it's not because they don't know. It's because your healing doesn't serve their agenda. Your brokenness benefits them more than your restoration ever could. Your weakness gives them control. Your confusion gives them power. But your healing, that threatens everything. You'll recognize it in the way they minimize your pain. Get over it. You're being dramatic, as if your scars are fiction, as if your trauma is just a story you made up. They don't want you whole, because if you're whole, they can't hold you. If you're healed, they can't manipulate you. So they stay silent. They stay absent. Not by accident but by design. That absence, it's not neutral. It's strategic. And yet even in that silence, God speaks. Even in rejection, God restores. Because the absence of human support does not mean the absence of divine presence. When people step away, God leans in. He is close to the brokenhearted. He heals the wounds that others pretend not to see. He picks up the pieces when others step over them. There's a reason you're seeing who truly supports your healing. It's not to make you bitter, it's to make you wise. Pain reveals. It strips away the pretense and shows you who was really there. You might be shocked to find that the ones you counted on gave you the least. But that truth, it's necessary. Because healing requires honesty. And one of the hardest truths is this: not everyone wants you well. Some people only love the version of you that was broken, quiet, easy to dismiss. But now that you're rising, now that you're reclaiming your voice, your worth, your purpose, they feel exposed. And rather than celebrate your healing, they resent it. But friend, let me remind you, you don't need their applause to be whole. You don't need their support to walk in freedom. God is your healer. He is your comfort, your source, your strength. The same God who saw you at your lowest will be the one to lift you to your purpose. Don't let the silence of man make you question the presence of God. Your healing is not just possible, it is promised. Not because people believe in you, but because God placed His hand on you. They may not carry you, but He will. They may not encourage you, but He will speak life into your dry bones. And when the dust settles, when the wounds close, when your eyes open again, you'll realize the people who left were never your foundation. God was, God is. God always will be. So don't let their absence define your identity. Don't wait for them to show up before you rise up. Start walking. Even if no one claps, even if no one calls, even if the ones who hurt you never say sorry. Walk anyway. Heal anyway. Live anyway. Because your story is not about the ones who failed you. It's about the one who never did. Thank you for your listening. Goodbye and see you in the next video.